So let's take a look at some rhetorical analysis. Throughout Payne's writing, he creates a ding, ding, ding persona. That is my rhetorical choice. Very clear right up front, so I know what I am looking at. So he creates a rhetorical choice that allows for his American audience to understand the ding, ding, ding importance of fighting against Britain. So I have both the rhetorical choice and I have the message very clear up front. A lot of you, the message up front was missing. That made it a lot harder for me to figure out what you were trying to argue. I kind of hope that in the sample you would have noticed that when you don't have that message right up front, it does leave you flailing a little bit. But this is a beautiful setup for rhetorical analysis topic sentence. So we're going to focus on persona, and we're going to hopefully prove that the language he uses creates a persona that really drives his message forward. So let's get to reading. Payne appeals to American familial values when mentioning the urgency to fight. So we have the urgency to fight. Oh, why do I keep doing that? I keep grabbing a pen when what I mean to grab is a highlighter. So we have the urgency to fight, but now we have familial values, which feels a little different from persona. We're going to have to see if these two tie together, because if not, that may make some awkwardness. Okay, he states that if there must be any trouble, let it be in my day. This appeals to American parents who want to protect their children from external harm. So, nice quote fragment here. You do not need to have a citation because you only have one piece you're working from, and that is the Payne piece. So, this is my evidence. Let's change over to this. Here's my evidence. This appeals to American parents who want to protect their children from external harm. Still a little bit claim-y, so not really a lot of commentary here, and the difference is your commentary should have a form of reasoning. So let's see if we keep reading whether we're going to hit some form of reasoning. Payne is targeting parents in particular because he knows that they care for their children and are willing to do anything for them. Please watch out, like capital letters, that should be a semicolon. They too should be willing to fight because this war will bring harm to their children if they don't. So this right here is going to be that prediction. And prediction is one of the types of reasoning that you have. You do come back to that idea that they should be able to do anything. They should be willing to fight. So that all works. The one thing that doesn't work is this is really not persona. It is the American familial values, so it ties well to the claim, but this topic sentence feels like it's hanging out a little bit so far. So let's keep going and see if persona ends up getting tied in here. He continues to reinforce the message by saying the blood of his children, oops, that's not the color I wanted. I swear. There we go. The blood of his children will curse his cowardice. He is stating the consequences are bound to happen to those who have more to lose than anyone else, meaning those with families don't fight. So again, we've got a bit of prediction there that they're going to lose a lot. So we're doing some nice job sort of integrating the evidence and the commentary, but if you notice, we still haven't tied back to persona. Payne instills a sense of regret within the reader to try and push them to the fight. By saying that those who don't fight will be looked down upon by their children, he makes fighting seem like a moral duty. And that is definitely commentary. That cause and effect. He makes fighting seem. So that's some nice commentary there. One who fights will always be seen as a hero, not only by their country, but by their children as well. So we're continuing the commentary, and I do like how much commentary there is there for the evidence. So I really see a really nice discussion of why these quotes in particular are so important. However, woo, ding ding, transition. So Payne also makes a connection between family and religion. And by now you should realize we have completely lost persona. What's more, do I get why they're putting family and religion together? Yes. By the way, nice bridge transition here. So you have this word that references back to the previous argument, and then you have religion, which is going to go into the next argument. And both of them are values. So really the topic sentence should say something about values. The reason why this feels like it doesn't necessarily connect quite as well is you have enough evidence to do a whole paragraph on family. You have enough evidence to do a whole paragraph on religion. So the fact that those two things are put in one paragraph together, it kind of makes me wonder, does this student not recognize all of the evidence they have to do just one of these topics? Why are they feeling the need to pull those together? If I did religion, I could do a whole paragraph on religion. I could do one argument about how the British are religiously offensive. And I could do another argument about how America has the ability to step up and become God's chosen, that our leaders are just as valid as England's leaders in terms of really becoming great and becoming this God-fearing nation. I could do that. I could do an entire paragraph on family. I could spend one argument talking about the consequences if you do fight. Your kids will love you. You'll save them from having to fight the war later. I could do a separate argument on the consequences if people refuse to fight. Their children will resent them. You're putting your children in danger because your children have to step up. So the fact that the two of them are going into the same paragraph feels a little bit like maybe there wasn't as good of understanding of the piece there. But I do love the bridge transition. This is a really nice bridge transition. I do love the argument when it comes to the first argument when it's talking about family values. That's really nice. And let's take a look at this argument on religion. And again, I cut it off a bit. Didn't want to do, I just wanted to focus on the first page because you get the main idea. So he encourages people to show their faith by work. He not only wants people to fight for their familial values, but for their God. God is the one who protects family from harm, so they must show their commitment to God. And in doing so, God will not give their people up to military destruction. Really? You did not put quote marks at the end, right? Because the quote marks would go there. Okay, moving on. This reassesses that everything will be okay only if they fight because God will be on their side and will protect American families. So again, it's really nice that you're not holding to this, all the quotes together, all the commentary together, because just like in the first half, it goes quote. Let me change pens here. You go quote, commentary, and so there's a very nice threading of it together. So, overall, when you are looking at this paper, if you were doing an evaluation for this student, what would you say this student is really doing well? Get specific about what they've done well. Okay, I would say that it uses evidence really, really well. I said the evidence is embedded well. I actually like the fact that you don't see that very clunky claim, evidence, commentary structure, that you've got a little bit more flexibility in the structure. And I really get the sense that this kid understands Payne's writing. So, what would you say is a problem in this paper that if this were your partner, you might tell them to work on? Okay, a couple of things. The rhetorical choice, it definitely is not focused on persona. Now, this time I tried to be a little bit more forgiving. So I didn't take it as seriously. This one sentence, if we were farther into the year, would be enough to keep you from being able to get an A. So that's actually going to be a pretty big problem. I would also say that the transition is a little lower level. It doesn't really tell me how these two ideas relate, although I do like the fact that you've got the bridge here that references up. So there are some things that need to be changed, but certainly overall, I would say this is definitely a strong paper. So if that's what a strong rhetorical analysis looks like, are you ready to look at some more? Okay, you guys definitely like persona. So, the topic sentence here, Burry is able to establish her message of minorities need to be more accepted in the workplace. So, it's nice that you have that message. It's a little bit commandy. It would be nice if you did some sort of if-then statement instead of a command. Minorities need to be, minorities should be. So instead, something like Burry is able to establish her message that when minorities are told that they should be authentic, that statement is in fact a lie because society wants them to conform. That would be a little bit stronger, but certainly I do have a message here. I also see not only that we're doing persona, but the persona of relatability and experience. I'm not sure how we have a persona of experience, so that might be sort of poor word choice, or it might be that they're looking at things differently than I am. But let's take a look. That's our topic sentence. What should we expect? Maybe not next, but possibly next. Yep, probably you're going to go from a topic sentence into a claim. Sometimes you drop straight into evidence, but if you have the claim up front, it makes it a little bit easier to kind of get your head wrapped around it. So Burry's arguments, while they may be assertive, they're also relatable. So we're going to talk about two things, hopefully, that her arguments are assertive and that they are relatable. And hopefully that's going to go back to persona. She is able to establish a speaker-audience relationship by being vulnerable and relating to the audience. So that's commentary. It's talking about what the significance of her speaker-audience relationship is. That because she's vulnerable, she relates. So a little bit of cause and effect, a little bit of significance. Nice commentary. When describing an experience from her work environment, she states, "This Black woman will not be bringing her full authentic self to work." Two problems with that. What are the two problems with that? Okay, the first thing is I'm not really seeing her being vulnerable. I'm not seeing her really relating to the audience, which is sad because there's some quotes that she really does relate well to the audience. But this is not really a great quote. The commentary was right on track, but the quote doesn't support it. The other thing is, that is a full sentence. Instead of giving me a quote fragment, this is now pulling almost the entire sentence in. So, great commentary, not as strong in the evidence. So that definitely need to think about the evidence choice there. Okay, she creates this relatable encounter to further persona, to further her persona as someone to be trusted. Couple of things here. First of all, I love that you've not forgotten that you're supposed to be writing about persona. But here is my problem. You're saying that this is relatable. I don't know, but as a white woman, I have trouble relating to this. And in fact, it feels a little offensive to tell me that I should be understanding how a black woman feels because I have never had to live in a black woman's skin. I can't imagine the obstacles that she's had to overcome. And so simply telling me that black women have difficulties and then telling me this is relatable, again, it feels like the quote chosen is just the wrong choice. Okay, this trust creates a level of credibility that can only come from personal experience. Well, now you're into credibility. Credibility is not the same as relatability. So if you say that someone is credible, you're saying they can be believed because they've lived in that experience. This could create credibility because she is a black woman, because she has had this experience. We can trust that she is being accurate. But this quote does not match relatability. And so you've got this part works, this part does not. And so we just have a little bit of slipping and sliding compared to the last one. Okay, Bury is able to be upfront and honest by allowing the audience to see everything from her perspective. What is that? It really feels like this is the new claim. It's a little hard to tell because I don't have a transition, but it feels like that this is going to be the second part of that persona, that she is very honest and direct. So if so, this is actually a nice claim. Just would like to see some transition work. So next section. The experience of, I have no idea why there's a comma there, but you should never start a line with like a comma or a period. Her experience of showing up to work with her, you're changing the grammar, so put it into brackets, her afro, and trying to keep it real with her are both understandable scenarios that have become normal for her. What is that? Yeah, that's evidence. Does that evidence prove that she is being upfront and honest? Yeah, this idea of keeping it real. So you do see that honesty there, that this is her normal everyday life. She's not putting on a show. So the connection here between the claim and the evidence is much, much stronger. So now let's take a look at the next section. The need to create an environment that is safe and inclusive is put so strongly by Bury's rhetorical decisions. What is that? Okay, that is commentary, but I want you to tell me, why is that commentary not strong? Okay, really, the heart and soul of commentary with rhetorical analysis is going to be significance. Why is this language significant? And this commentary here, it really doesn't do that. So if I want to talk about significance, I need to talk about why are these words important and how do they create that honest persona. It's important that she emphasizes that this description is one of her real life. This is her everyday experience. And by showing how she has to live and how she has to deal with the way people react to her afro, the way people react to her talking, that creates this sense of a very real person with very real frustrations. And that relatable and honest persona creates sympathy in the reader, because when someone is that frustrated, it is easier to understand why it is that it's so important that she get across to this message that African Americans and minorities in general need to not just be told they're accepted, but they need to be shown acceptance. That commentary would tie the message in more strongly, but you would also have that sort of reasoning there. So what I want you to do is I want you to write a commentary section. I certainly, by modeling it, have given you all of the chunks you need. So even if you haven't read Bury, you can re-listen to that section and just sort of put it into your own words. But what I want you to play with is focus on the significance of language and focus on bringing it back to that topic persona and that message that it's important that we don't just say we accept minorities, that we actually accept minorities. So give that a try. Okay, the last thing we have here is I am crossing out instead of highlighting. I really have got to stop grabbing the wrong pen. Her relatability and credibility are only some of the strengths she uses to emphasize the cruciality of her message while speaking. I like that you have a closure. It would be nice to have some sort of closing transition so it didn't feel like it kind of ran right into the commentary. But here is my problem. This paper doesn't do a good job of relatability, and the commentary is almost completely missing going back to that message. So the closure lies a little bit about what was actually established here. So let's talk grades. If this is an A, it has all of the required pieces, and those required pieces have really something above and beyond and special to them. So the commentary is like, wow, the language, the something is really special. Does this earn an A? Probably not. It has enough mistakes that really it's not going to be A level. If this is a B, all the pieces are there. They are successful. They may not be strong, but they are there. What do you think? Okay, this is a maybe. I do see all the pieces. I see claim, evidence, commentary. I see claim. I see claim here. Eek. Claim is here. Evidence, commentary. I see closure. I see topic sentence. So the pieces are there, but you have some comments like this quote shows it's relatable. So these things are flawed enough that probably this is going to end up being like a C+ paper. Again, I tried to be a little generous because I know that the timed writings you guys just did were your first ones, but this is on the right track and it's moving towards a successful rhetorical analysis. I'm not sure it's there yet. Okay, let's look at the next one. Your topic sentence is actually in 2 sentences, and that's okay. You're allowed to do that. Jodi Ann Bury masterfully uses rhetoric to powerfully and effectively drive home her message. One of the more significant rhetorical choices the author makes centers around a hypothetical narrative. Right now, what does that topic sentence do well? Yeah, it gives you a nice, strong rhetorical choice. We're going to focus on hypothetical narrative. What does that topic sentence not do well? Yeah, her message, that is really vague, which means I'm going into this paragraph not sure exactly what I'm looking for or what the evidence is supposed to be proving. And that's a difficult position to be in. Okay, so now we have, she describes a friend's invitation to a party on October 31st, but despite the date, it's not a Halloween party. She begins to hint at her main idea, saying to come as you are. What is that section? Yeah, hopefully you recognize that this is evidence, and you can have evidence right after that sort of topic sentence, but of course, it does leave us a little bit wondering what it is we're going to try and prove. Hopefully we'll figure that out when we hit the commentary, because if there's not a claim up front, the claim is usually buried in the commentary. So what do you think of this evidence? What is the strong part of this evidence? This is actually a hypothetical. Now the problem is it's not labeled as a hypothetical. So she describes an imaginary, and that way it's very clear that it's a hypothetical. But there's a nice connection between what you say you're going to focus on, the hypothetical narrative, and what's actually being focused on, and that is this evidence. What's perhaps not done as well? Yeah, it's not a Halloween party. Come as you are. Those are pretty full sentences. So the embedding is not quite as strong here. And as always, because we're just working off of one piece of writing, just Bury's essay, you don't need to have citations because everything comes from Bury, and Bury is identified up front, so we can just assume all quotes come from her. So the citation is actually fine. So we have some commentary here, and the commentary has some evidence embedded within it. That's nice. I'm actually 100% in favor of that. But right now, I want you to take a look at this commentary, and I want you to tell me, what is the problem with this commentary? Okay, the commentary says the audience can feel the embarrassment and the shock. So you're basically saying that this language causes embarrassment and shock. And cause and effect is a nice place to go in rhetorical analysis. You're saying, what's the effect of the language? The problem is these quotes don't really show embarrassment. So I show up for a Halloween party, and I realize it's not a Halloween party. That's not necessarily embarrassing. It could just be weird. So the quotes are not particularly well chosen. So this is better. So this moment of confusion. So I do see a moment of confusion here. I don't necessarily see embarrassment and shock in these quotes. So the quotes are not particularly well chosen. But it is in the neighborhood. I can see where it's going. Okay? Let's take a look at the next bit. Bury uses this narration to introduce her message in a powerful format that everyone in the audience can relate to. I can see where you're getting relating because, face it, everyone has probably gone to an awkward party. Again, I don't think that the quotes are particularly well chosen, but here, because we're not talking about, hey, relate to her as a black woman, which puts me as a white woman in an awkward position, but instead you're saying relate to her in terms of going to a party and having it be really awkward and having this confusion. Yeah, that I can relate to. So that is a little bit nicer there. Do I think that this is the best argument in the world? No. Why not? What is the part that is holding this argument back? Yeah, like I said before, it's that there are better quotes to prove what this student says they're trying to prove. And so that little bit of slippage on the quotes means it's not quite as strong. But let's take a look at the next section. Bury's narrations become even more effective, however, as she chooses to use her own personal experience. Oh, wait a minute. Let's take a look at the opening. This was intended to be a claim. But wait a minute. If this is the claim, what's the problem if I try calling this a topic sentence? Yeah, if this is my topic sentence, it has neither a rhetorical choice nor does it have the message. So it's not just vague in the message, which maybe you can get away with if in the introduction. If you're doing a full essay, you would have an introductory paragraph. In the introductory paragraph, perhaps the message was clear. So then a little bit of vague here wouldn't kill you. However, to have no rhetorical choice, but yet if we call this part of the topic sentence, because you can have a 2-sentence topic sentence, if we do that, then the hypothetical is no longer going to match, because this second argument is clearly going to be about personal. However, what are both hypothetical and personal? Those are both forms of example, which means this topic sentence should say something like, Jodi Ann Burry masterfully uses specific examples to effectively drive home the message that society is not as accepting of minorities as it claims. Now I know that the rhetorical choice is going to be example, and I have a better sense of what the message is. But as it is, if I accept that this second sentence is in fact claim, not part of the topic sentence, then that means my topic sentence sort of utterly fails, because it doesn't give me a topic. So you do have to realize the different parts of the paragraph are working together. So let's take a look now. We now know that this is going to be our second claim. We're now going to look at actual personal examples. So let's see what sort of evidence we have. Okay, so here is your evidence. I sort of highlighted just the quotes in blue so that you could separate out what is summary, gray, from what is quoted, blue. What do you think of the evidence section? I think, first of all, that this is doing a really good job of connecting up to personal experience. This is a specific experience. This is a specific experience. So it definitely is showing personal experiences. So I like that. What do you think of how well it's embedded? Yeah, these are really nicely embedded. You've got little bits of quotes that are embedded. So that's very, very nice. So the evidence here is actually feeling stronger than the evidence in the last section. So let's keep going. Okay, there's the commentary. What is the reasoning form you have in that commentary? Okay, this is an attempt to have some reasoning right here, that this seems out of place. So it's attempting to say, why is this significant? Perhaps it's attempting to contrast. But the very fact that we're struggling to come up with a reasoning type is what tells you the commentary here is not as strong. So the commentary seems to be struggling a little bit here. So you should have some significance here. By focusing on the fact that people disrespect who she is and want her to be someone else. They want her to be more agreeable. They want her to stop wanting to win for herself and to give other people the wins. These are all signals that they don't accept her. They say they want her input, but the reality is they don't. She is being shut out. So you would want to talk about what the effect of this language is, that this language effectively communicates frustration. You want to talk about it's significant. It's significant because it proves the depths of just how much they don't want her. But as it is right now, this is a little too much summarizing what it is Burry is saying, and not enough telling why that is effective. So you're saying all the right words here. Hey, it's skillful. Hey, this is effective. But you aren't telling me why it's effective. So What do you think in terms of grades? How would you grade this? It's definitely on the right track, so it's not a failing paper. D paper says that it is really so fatally flawed that it doesn't really make sense in parts. Is this a D paper? Yeah, it's really not. So I would go higher than that. A C paper, all the pieces are there, but some of them are not done well. Is this a C paper? Yes. This is going to be a C paper. Excuse me, I burped at you. All of the pieces are here. They're on the right track. There's some moments here that are really, really beautifully well done that say this is somebody that's going to be learning how to do rhetoric without too much more trouble. But there are also some rough areas. Again, when I graded yours, I tried to be a little bit more on the merciful side because I know that this is new for you guys. But hopefully going over this, it's helped you see where you need to be going. Fingers crossed.